Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling confused, guilty, or like you were the bad guy, even when you knew you weren't? You might have been manipulated. Here are 5 common manipulation phrases you need to watch out for. First, you're overreacting or you're being too sensitive. This is classic gaslighting. It dismisses your valid feelings and makes you question your own sanity. Second, I was just joking. They say something hurtful, and when you get upset, they hide behind this excuse to avoid taking responsibility. Third, if you really loved me, you would. This is emotional blackmail, using your love and affection as leverage to get what they want. Fourth, you're misunderstanding me. Instead of clarifying, they shift the blame to you, making it seem like your inability to understand is the problem. And finally, look what you made me do. This is a blatant attempt to dodge accountability by making their actions your fault. Recognizing these phrases is the first step to protecting your peace. Stay aware and trust your gut. Thanks for watching. Before we get into the phrases, you need to understand the mechanism. Manipulative language works not because it is clever, but because it exploits the gap between how you process emotion and how you process logic. Research in cognitive psychology shows that emotional responses are generated faster than conscious thought. By the time your rational mind catches up to what was just said, your emotional response has already been triggered and your behavior has already begun adjusting. The phrases you are about to hear are designed to hit that emotional layer first. They create guilt, self-doubt, and confusion before you have time to evaluate whether any of it is actually true. Have you ever been in an argument and suddenly heard the phrase, "After all I've done for you"? It sounds simple, but it's a powerful tool of manipulation. This single sentence does 3 things all at once. First, it reminds you of a debt you never actually agreed to. Second, it instantly changes your relationship into a transaction, positioning you as the one who owes them. And third, it completely shuts down whatever point you were trying to make, making you feel ungrateful for even bringing it up. Psychologists call this obligation manufacturing. The other person has been secretly keeping score, building a ledger you knew nothing about. The second you disagree or push back, that ledger is opened up. At that point, you're not having a conversation anymore. You're being audited. Recognizing this tactic is the first step to disarming it. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more insights. Phrase 2. I was just joking. You are so sensitive. This phrase is used immediately after something deliberately harmful is said. The joke framing gives the manipulator plausible deniability. The sensitivity accusation transfers responsibility for your pain onto your own character. By the time this phrase lands, 2 things have happened. The harmful message was delivered successfully, and you are now defending your emotional response instead of addressing what was actually said. Dr. George Simon describes this as a double strike. The first strike is the insult or undermining comment. The second strike is the refrain that makes your reaction the problem. Most people spend the rest of the conversation on the second strike and never return to the first. Phrase 3. You always do this. 3 words that do more damage than most people realize. The word always is doing all the work here. It takes a single moment and expands it into a character indictment. You are no longer someone who made a specific choice in a specific situation. You are someone with a pattern, a flaw, a defining behavioral problem. Research on cognitive distortions identifies this as overgeneralization, and it is one of the most effective ways to destabilize someone's self-perception. Once you accept the always framing, you stop defending the specific situation and start defending your entire identity. The manipulator just moved the battlefield to the terrain where they have the most advantage. Have you ever been told, "I don't know why you're making this such a big deal"? Let's talk about why this phrase is so damaging. When someone says this, they're not trying to understand your feelings. They're invalidating them entirely. They're shifting the focus from what happened to your reaction, suggesting that your feelings are the problem, not their actions. People who use this line consistently aren't actually confused by your response. They're threatened by it. A reasonable emotional reaction from you means the situation is real, and they might have to be accountable. So, by minimizing your feelings, they're trying to minimize the whole situation. It's a tactic to make you feel irrational so they never have to address the root cause. Researchers have found that hearing this over and over can seriously erode your trust in your own emotions. You start to doubt yourself, and eventually, you might stop speaking up at all. That silence is exactly what they want. Thank you for watching. This phrase weaponizes social proof. It implies that your perception is an outlier, that everyone else sees this person clearly, and you alone have misread them. It is designed to make you feel isolated in your experience and question your own judgment. What makes this phrase particularly effective is that it often contains partial truth. Manipulators are skilled at managing their public image. The version of them that exists in social settings is frequently charming, generous, and well-liked. That version is real. It is also curated. The behavior you have experienced in private is equally real. The phrase asks you to let the public version erase the private one. Do not. You do not need to confront the phrase in the moment. Confrontation rarely works with people who use these tactics because they have a response prepared for your response. What works is a simple internal reset. When you hear one of these phrases, pause. Do not fill the silence. Do not defend. Do not explain. Ask one question, either out loud or internally. Are we talking about what happened, or are we talking about how I'm reacting to what happened? That single question cuts through every one of these phrases. It returns the conversation to facts. People with honest intentions will follow you there. People using these tactics will escalate. Either answer tells you exactly where you stand. Language is the primary tool of psychological manipulation. Not because words are powerful in themselves, but because most people were never taught to hear what is underneath them. You were taught to respond to the surface, to defend yourself against the accusation, to explain your reaction, to justify your feelings. Every one of those responses feeds the mechanism. Now you hear the mechanism itself. The phrase is not the point. The redirection is. The debt manufacturing is. The identity indictment is. Once you see the architecture, the phrases lose most of their power. Subscribe. Every week this channel gives you the exact language and frameworks that most people spend years figuring out alone. You do not have to do that.